Welcome to cooking cheap, easy, and tasty meals.
I'm going to prep some chicken for chicken Francese. I'm prepping several pieces of chicken. I placed it on a piece of plastic wrap, folded it over, and I'm going to pound it. Get it the thickness I want, consistent for the whole piece. Now, you could certainly use a meat hammer or a cast iron pan. Could be used for this also. I've been getting my chicken from a local grocery store that still has a butcher shop, and it really makes a difference. Maybe a little more expensive than going to one of the big box shops, but at least there's somebody there you can talk to that seems to know what they're talking about when it comes to cutting meat. I don't know how they cut meat at some of the big places. I assume it's by machine. It's going to work out. I'm going to get several pieces out of that, a little smaller, which is really good. There's the chicken breast. I'm going to prepare this chicken. I'm going to coat it in egg and flour and then fry it off for use later in the dish. So what I've got is a quarter cup of flour, teaspoon of salt, about 12 grinds of pepper. Mix all that up. Some things you could do that would be different here, it may make a difference if you want to try it. You could add the zest of a lemon to this and mix it in, and it might improve the flavor of the meat. It's an option you might want to try. I've done it. It seems to make a difference. I'm just not doing it today. Okay, then we're going to need 1 egg, which I'm going to beat. You might want to put it in a bowl and whisk it before you dump it in here, but I'm trying not to get any more things dirty than I have to. And that should be fine. Now, since this is going to be fried, I'm going to use an oil that can handle higher heat. I'm going to use canola oil. Put a couple tablespoons of canola oil in here. Maybe 3. My pan is warped, obviously. Then I'm going to take my pieces of chicken and I'm going to dip them in the flour, in the egg, back in the flour. Try to get a nice crust on them. And I'm going to lay them in away from me so that they don't splash toward me. Again, in the flour. Get a nice coating on it. Dip it in the egg. Make sure you get the egg over all of the dry part. Put it back in the flour. Try to make sure it gets coated again. Get covered really well. Lay it in away from you. We'll take the last piece, do the same thing, same process. Back in the flour. Hoping I'm going to lay it so it doesn't splash on me. I'm going to get rid of the dredge and the egg. This won't take long to cook. It's a fairly thin piece. So I'm going to get ready to take it off. Plus it's going to be cooked a little bit more, so we don't want to overcook it. So we're going to turn this. Turn this. Get a nice brown. I'm going to turn it this way. Turn this one back this way. Looking pretty good. I'm going to check the temperature on it. See if it's done. Not quite. This one is definitely ready. This is just a little bit thicker, which I suspect makes all the difference. Yeah, that should be fine. Still doesn't say it's ready in the middle, so I'm going to give it a minute more. Maybe a little thicker piece. That's why it's good to try and get them about the same thickness. That one definitely is ready. Yeah, it looks like it's burning, but it's really not. That looks fine. So there's our 3 pieces of chicken ready for the next step. Turn the heat off and let that cool down, and then clean out the pan and move to the next step. Now I'm getting ready to prepare the sauce for the chicken Francese. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I always call it chicken Francese. So I'm going to put a little oil in, and I've got a few pieces of lemon that I want to brown. I don't want to get them too brown, but I want to get them just cooking. They're going to be an add-on to the dish. All I'm doing is turning them every now and then. It's not a big deal. It's not like we're really cooking them. We're just getting a little flavor going in them. And we're going to use them for garnish more than anything else. That looks good enough. They've warmed up. Now the next thing we're going to do is melt some butter, probably about 2½ tablespoons. Once this is melted, we're going to add 2 tablespoons of flour and stir it. Cook the flour a little bit. Make sure it's not lumpy. We're going to add in some chicken stock. Now we're going to add the rest of the chicken stock. Stir it all up. Make sure all the better than bouillon has dissolved. Try and get rid of any lumps. I don't really care that much about the lumps. Try and stir it and get those out of the way. We're going to bring it back to a boil. I'm going to add a little salt. Probably about ½ teaspoon. I'm going to turn this down a little bit. I'm going to add about 1/3 cup of wine and a little lemon juice. Okay, then we're going to let that cook for a while. We're going to let the sauce thicken a little bit. Let's bring it back up to boiling. If you're concerned about how thick it is, you could take a whisk and whisk it a little bit, and it'll make sure you break up any pieces that are still left. But it looks pretty good right now. Okay, we're going to let it simmer for 3 or 4 minutes. The next thing we're going to do, we're going to put our chicken back in and let it soak up the sauce and get heated up again. Now let's taste the sauce and see how it's doing. Still not quite thick enough. Yes, very good. Excellent sauce. Okay, that looks good. Now I'm going to sprinkle a little parsley over the whole thing. I'm going to put the lemon back in that we cooked earlier, just for garnish. And that's it. Now I'm going to put it aside until I get the other dishes ready. I'm going to do the broccoli fairly quickly. I could steam it, but I'm going to microwave it, which works quite well. So you put it in a bowl and add a little water. And I'm going to add a little salt and pepper. Salt. And we'll put it in the microwave on the vegetable setting for fresh vegetables, and it'll come out just fine. The last thing I'm going to do is make some noodles to go with the chicken. Put some water on to boil. The broccoli isn't quite ready, but what I'm going to do is open it and add some Parmesan cheese flakes on the top to melt into it. Give it a little Parmesan punch, which will add both saltiness and flavor to it. I'm going to stir it around a little bit. We can always add more when we take it out if it needs it. So I'll put this back in the microwave for the rest of the cooking time, which is about 30 seconds. So the water is boiling, so to it I'm going to add quite a bit of salt. In cooking pasta, it's really good to have salt in the water. About the same level of salt that's in the ocean. I put about 2 tablespoons to that amount of water. And then I'm going to use, this is a whole wheat pasta. I don't want to eat too much pasta, so I'm going to put 3 handfuls, which should be about 1.5 cups, which should be more than enough. And that's going to take about 10 to 12 minutes to cook. Okay, the noodles are done. It was about 12 minutes, but they are cooked and ready to use. So there we have it, chicken Francese with broccoli and Parmesan cheese. And the chicken Francese is over whole wheat pasta.
If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and give us a like. Thank you.